Hello, dear friends, and welcome to this episode, which will be about getting sick and being a diabetic. Mostly, I will focus on getting the flu or getting a cold or something similar to that, but of course, there are many different ways one can get sick, and I'm sure people experience it differently. I'm not a medical professional, this is just based on my own experiences. And some of the times in my life it's been the hardest to control my blood sugar have been when I gotten sick. At least for my sake, I feel I need to take a lot more insulin, especially when I get the fever. Stress in the body really reacts to it, and in my case I need to take a lot of insulin, and often I just need to take a lot of insulin just for the blood sugar to be high. It feels like it's almost any amount of insulin I take, it feels like it will stay high if I get sick, which can be really difficult. And of course I'm afraid to take too much, because when you're sick you maybe don't have the biggest appetite, so in case you take too much, I don't want to need to eat a lot and also focus and concentrate on that on top of everything else. And sometimes when you're sick, you are sick in your stomach, you need to throw up, you feel nauseous, and then especially you don't want to think about food or something sweet to drink at the same time. So that is also very difficult. On one side, the stress makes the insulin levels needed to be higher, the blood sugar goes up, and on the other side, if it would become too low, you're in the situation where you might not be able to eat without throwing up again immediately. So that is the big challenge for me when I've gotten sick as a diabetic. And not so long ago, I had this happen to me. I was in Brazil, I got sick, don't know what it was. It was around Christmas times. And I felt a fever, cough, and at the same time I was nauseous and I had to throw up multiple times. And at that time I could immediately see, okay, I need to take more insulin, I need to take more insulin. And no matter how much I took, it felt like I needed to take more. Which is also not so nice, because then you need to pee more often, you need to get out of bed more often, your mouth feels even drier. And I was so nauseous sometimes that even water could make me kind of go and puke. So that was also a challenge on top of everything. And of course I didn't want to take too much insulin at that time, because I was afraid if I would get low blood sugar, could I even take anything that's sweet and increase my blood sugar levels again? So it is very difficult. Luckily for me, it's been okay the times I gotten sick, like I'd never needed to go to the hospital because of complications with my blood sugar, but at the same time, it is very stressful and very hard on top of an already stressful and hard situation. I also remember another time where I got low blood sugar, and I had juice in the refrigerator. I drank juice to compensate and I just puked it all up again. And then I just needed to try to find something else, like candy or something like that I found, and that was then okay. But at the same time, it was very hard to have low blood sugar and being so sick at the same time. So it is a big challenge. And often you need to sleep a lot, and at the same time I feel I should monitor my blood sugar more often. I'm lucky, I have the sensor, I have the app, so I can look at my phone. But then if I sleep 2-3 hours, maybe it has gone some type of direction at the time I have been sleeping, which is also a challenge. And how is it normally? I sleep, of course, at night, and I take long-term blood sugar for the night. And how is it then to sleep at the daytime? Also a challenge on top of everything else. And you don't eat your regular meals, everything become different. If I will start to eat again, I don't know how much I can eat, which also complicates things even further. So it's not easy at all. So it is a tough situation being a diabetic and getting sick, at least for me, out of these reasons. Any tips, anything I have learned in this type of situation? On one side, at least for me, to get low blood sugar in this situation is worse than having high blood sugar. So I try to not be so strict, and it's okay for me, at least in this situation, that it's a little bit higher. Because if I'm afraid I cannot take any food or drink, then to have low blood sugar would be really scary, which I have experienced before. And at the same time, of course, not letting it get too high. So you need to monitor, you need to take insulin, and you need to check regularly so it doesn't get too high. So of course, this is also very, very important. And I think even though it's easily said to not stress too much about it, like, okay, there is many unknowns here, but it will go over, it will be better. And if I take one step at a time, for example, I don't know if I can eat, okay, maybe I take insulin both before and after the meal. So in case I could only eat a little bit, at least then I didn't take too much insulin if I wanted to eat 4 sandwiches and I only ate 1, for example. So one has to also think a bit like that, maybe one more step at a time compared to daily life, when you kind of have your habits, you know more what to take, your daily routine, and here it's more a new routine, a new situation. So these are things that help me a little bit at least, and yeah, it gets better. You will get well eventually and get on by with your life, and then a lot of extra stress on top of the other situation, low blood sugar, for me at least, has been the worst. So, okay, you're sick, blood sugar levels is a little bit higher. I think that happens, and that is, at least for me, a little bit okay in that situation, because the alternative, low blood sugar, on top of being sick, is really, really, really tough, and yeah, I feel could even be dangerous. So not letting the blood sugar get too high, not letting it get too low, but maybe okay, a little bit higher than normal is okay. But of course, one monitor regularly and one sees so it doesn't get too high. That's, of course, is very, very important as well. So that is some of my experiences, something I think about, and I hope it's useful. Not medical advice, just my own experience as a diabetic. See you, friends. Bye.